I will be discussing and teaching a short lesson in order to demonstrate the Frayer model so that you can implement this strategy into your content area classroom. This is an example of a completed Frayer model. The Frayer model is a graphic organizer that is used for word analysis and vocabulary building. The purpose of the Frayer model is for students to learn new vocabulary words by defining and providing examples of illustrations. The goal of the Frayer model is to enrich word knowledge and vocabulary of the student through examples of visual representation. The strategy builds upon the prior knowledge of the students and helps to develop critical thinking skills when new vocabulary is presented. The Frayer model can be used in large groups, small groups, or for individual work. The strategy is a great visual tool for visual learners and easily can be implemented into every content area and grade level. This is a visual representation of the Frayer model. It serves to allow the students to define the word in their own words, to create facts about what they know about the word, and to provide examples in an illustration or wording, and then non-examples of that word. The Frayer model can be easily implemented into almost every content area. I'm going to implement it into an ag content for an ag principles class that I would use in a 9th grade setting. But if you're teaching math, you can use new words. If you're teaching English, like this is extremely helpful in English, just vocabulary in general. If you're teaching any kind of science, like if you're discussing cotyledons, they can branch off into what that is. So in any content, this model is extremely valuable. It does have several strengths, like it's a visual, so visual learners will learn from it, and it helps to make connections between what the students know and what they will learn. It can be used before, during, and after readings, and it really promotes critical thinking, and you can use it in, like I've said before, small groups or whole groups, and it draws on those students' prior knowledge. The weaknesses of this strategy takes a lot of teacher pre-planning because you're going to have to spend time developing quadrant possibilities and lead class discussions, and it could hinder ESL students as they would not have the knowledge to complete all 4 quadrants, which might then make them feel incapable and not up with their class. And it can take a substantial amount of one class period to develop the ideas for one word. The following will be a demonstration on how to use the Frayer model in your content area classroom. So for today's class, we're going to be discussing animal welfare and animal rights groups. And once we're done with using and implementing the Frayer model, we will go over your magazine and find examples that happen to be for animal welfare and rights in the PRCA Rodeo magazine. So if everybody could get out a blank piece of paper, either scratch paper or binder paper or a blank computer paper, we're going to fold this into 4 so you can begin your Frayer model. Okay, so now that you have your paper divided into 4, we can outline it and begin to start analyzing what animal rights is. Now that we've been given our vocabulary word, which is animal rights, I would ask each of you to please write your own definition of what you feel animal rights is. Todd, will you please define what animal rights means to you? He can't speak, so he wrote it down. Okay, class, great job defining what animal rights is. So we're just going to write some of your key examples down so that way we can keep it flowing in the Frayer model. So animal rights people want the same rights for animals as humans. And they're usually a group of activists. So now we're going to move on to facts and things that you know about animal rights groups. So does anybody have any facts or anything that they know about animal rights groups? Okay, so can anybody give me some facts and what you know about animal welfare and animal rights? So Todd, obviously it's catnapping for you. That would be an animal rights. And I'm pretty sure he wrote down more examples. So he's got not the same as welfare, typically extreme activists, they oppose rodeo, farming, consuming, and animal products, and they're very heavily supported. Okay, thank you, Todd, for supplying some facts and what you know about animal rights group on. Next, we're going to move on to giving examples of what you feel an animal rights group is, or if there are any examples. So we're going to call on Danny for that. Danny, will you share with us some examples that you wrote down for animal rights groups? She has PETA, shark, they want human rights, and examples would be that the circus has been shut down and that groups are attacking rodeo and livestock production. Solid job. And she says that animal rights groups would be PETA and shark, and they want circuses to shut down, and they oppose rodeo. So in general, they're really bad for the ag industry. Okay, Loki, you've been extremely quiet this class session, so will you please show us what are non-examples of an animal rights group? So he has written down that they're animal welfare groups, they have laws in place to protect the animals, they're responsible in raising and harvesting animals, they provide regulations, and he's done. And pet owners and the PRCA would be an example of an animal welfare group. Good job, Loki. Okay, class, so our last box of this entire Frayer model would be to provide non-examples of what animal rights is. And the most obvious would be, as Loki said, and he gave examples of several non-examples, would be animal welfare groups. And later we will define and discuss what an animal welfare group is. So we're just saying that that's the exact opposite. So an animal welfare group would be the PRCA. They have laws in place, and they are really looking out for what is best of the livestock and production animals, so that way we can enjoy them at a proper and safe manner that makes them comfortable and have comfortable lives. So great job, class, today in defining and giving examples of what animal rights is, and it's going to lead into our lesson and discussion further this class period on defining and figuring out some animal rights issues that are featured in the PRCA Rodeo magazine, which is actually an animal welfare group. So if y'all please grab your designated PRCA Rodeo magazine in your groups and start thumbing through it, and we're going to jump into our lesson about animal rights examples. So this is our finished Frayer model that I did on the whiteboard with the help of my very enthusiastic classroom. And I hope that you learned something and will be able to implement this Frayer model for vocabulary into all of your content areas. And no cats and dogs were harmed in the making of this video. They actually quite enjoyed it. So again, thank you for watching it, and please leave some comments, and I'm looking forward to what you guys think of my recording.